Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in tonight, whether you're catching the replay or you're watching this live or you're on YouTube. Today we'll be in the car. Today's topic is interesting. I wanted to talk about belief today because belief is what makes everything go around. This has been an interesting week for me. If I'm in total honesty, I got kicked in the belief stomach. I got punched in the belief stomach this week. Um, they launched new packages. I'm excited. I got a lot of people that were mad, a lot of people that were upset, a lot of people that didn't want change or transition. And there's a bunch of different things that I've dealt with this week, and as a result, it lowered my belief substantially. Now, why did my belief lower? And I was like, I just need to talk about this tonight on Sunday because it's absolutely relevant. So you look at belief as a concept, and we've talked about belief before on this channel, and there's 4 things that you need to believe in to make it in this type of business. Specifically, you need belief in the industry, belief in the product, belief in the I guess you would call it the opportunity or the people you're working with, and then belief in yourself. And so sometimes it's like the meme that goes around that says, I mourn the loss of opportunities that were wasted on low self-esteem and resistance. And it's like, I understand that belief in self is the hard one, but there are little things that you do that raise belief. There's an old saying that goes around in this type of business that the most excited and the highest someone's belief is the day that they join. And so I remember back in the day, what we would do is we would utilize someone's highest point of belief to get them to engage in taking action or massive action with, recruiting or inviting or sharing a video or sending a website out or sending a bunch of sticks in the mail. And so as time goes on, let's say that first 5-10 people they shared the opportunity with or the product with or the idea with, if 8 out of 10 people were excited, then their belief's going to go up. Hey, people are receiving this well. This is going well. This is going good. And the belief goes up. But if let's say somebody's like, oh, you got into one of those things? What are you, an idiot? Yeah, you got scammed. And they start telling you all this stuff. It's like your belief goes down so quickly. And it doesn't take that many shots before somebody's belief is low enough that their whole excited idea is out of the business and gone. And I know we've talked about having a durable dream and that is the antidote for low belief. But I started thinking, how do we know when our belief is going up? How do we know when our belief is going down? And what can we do to make our belief go up? Because after a week like this, where it's like this week I had people quit that I thought were in this forever. This is the week I had people yell at me. This is the week I had people be mad. There's been a lot of that. And I found myself, Friday with super low belief. And then I start questioning everything. And I go back to my resolve and my commitments. And I think, if I encountered someone out in the world that had the light or the spark or was at 12 o'clock or they had talent or potential, I go to the moment where I would normally bring up against all odds or segue into talking about greens or something in relationship to that. And I imagine myself being quiet and saying nothing and just walking and allowing them past. It would be like me not engaging someone and saying, how are you doing today? And I think, that would be sad. I got involved in this because I tried the product and I realized this is something I'll take every day for the rest of my life, with or without an opportunity. I realized that I would do the work anyway because I care about people. And when I see somebody that's in pain or unhealthy or they're not having a very good time, I feel like a duty to go see if they're taking a green product. And if not, I want to share this with them because maybe I'll make their day or their life a little better. And I realize without this, I wouldn't have some value to add to someone that way. Maybe someone's looking for a way to get ahead in life. There's so many people that join a business like this, and their belief is in the people that they're working with or the culture they're communicating in, whether it's online or in real life or a meeting or some capacity. And you see that a person gets into this, They start connecting with people of different mindset. They start reading books. They grow a completely different mindset, and it affects their job, their family, the aspects of their life that you can't put a price on. And they're a completely different human because the value that this provides. And for them, their belief is super high because it's in relationship to that. And so I wanted to just pass it off to Peyton and segue into him talking about some of the warning signs on belief, some of the signs your belief's going up and down, and some of what you can do in regards to that. So Peyton, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. I mean, that's a perfect segue, and thanks for the transparency. I mean, one of the things, if I think back to the beginning years when I was first introduced to this type of business, I went to a training, and the trainer, this is somebody that had earned over 8 figures in commissions in his career. And this is, he was in his early 50s at that time. So you can just imagine, you know, somebody that's earned 8 figures, even if you've been in business for 30 years, that's pretty good living, right? And so he said something that I thought was so interesting, is that he said, the only thing that is going to make this journey challenging for you is the roller coaster ride that you're going to go on emotionally. And he talked about basically these peaks and valleys of belief. And I literally remember sitting in the seats. I was probably 24 or 23 years old. And I thought to myself, well, if that's the only problem, like, this is going to be easy, because my belief is a level 10. And little did I know that that he was absolutely right. And so over the years, like Kevin said, you know, you have these moments that shake your belief. And what's really interesting about it is that when you look at the pillars of those 4 categories, you really probably won't very often have 100% or a level 10 belief in all 4 of those categories at all the time. You know, obviously that's something that you would strive for. I almost think about it as if you were, you know, devoted to your faith, right? And it's like, you want to, for example, be fully committed and fully vested and fully in the practice and fully in all of the aspects of the, you know, not only like the belief system, but the study of it. And also, of course, the contribution to the community of it. But that doesn't mean that if you're, you know, not a level 10 in all of those areas, that you still don't have a strong spiritual relationship, right? And the same is true with this business. So as you're, you know, building your greens empire, your subscription base, and of course your team that hopefully is going to grow nationally, internationally, and for many, many years to come, you know, these different pillars of belief absolutely get tested. And I think a couple of the ways that you can notice where your levels of belief are is first and foremost by the amount of action that you're taking. So if you're taking, and this is also based off of, this is a good way to look at it too, is that it's like, if you are a level 5 action taker in your life, it's unlikely in the beginning that you're going to be a level 10 action taker in the business, right? And so what do I mean by that? I say, you know, it's like, it's the same thing that says that basically, like, if you're already not an athlete and all of a sudden you're going to start a new sport, like, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a top performing sportster in that new sport right away, but you can kind of measure how you're approaching the business based off of how much you are involving yourself in it compared to some other things that maybe you've done in your life, right? So if you're somebody that, you know, when you get passionate about something, you go all in, and maybe, you know, you're forgetting about jumping on calls on Sundays, or you don't know where to find information, or you don't know how to get a coupon code, or you know, aren't sure how to change your order, or any of those things, that might be an indication that your attention is not in the business. And that might be an indication that your belief is maybe not a level 10 belief. And that's okay. But the goal is that if you're going to use this vehicle as something to get that desired result that you want in your life, whether it's a retirement, whether it's supplemental income, maybe it's a way to fund, you know, college educations for your kids, maybe it's a way to pay off debt early, maybe it's a way to take an extra vacation per year, maybe it's a way to bring a spouse home from work, you have to look at, okay, how can I raise this belief level to a 10? So the first way that you might notice that your belief isn't there is that you're not sharing with people. The second way that you might notice is that when somebody doesn't meet you with the same level of enthusiasm that you have, that you might, you know, all of a sudden find yourself lowering your level of enthusiasm to their level of enthusiasm. And there's a great saying that basically says, you know, think about a merry-go-round. If you have a merry-go-round that's going really, really, really fast, and somebody little tries to grab onto it and stop it, they're just going to get thrown right off. But if a merry-go-round is going slow, then, you can grab onto the merry-go-round and slow it down. So belief works the same way. If your belief is really high and it's like a merry-go-round, anybody that's not going to meet you in that same level of belief of like, whoa, this is something that could grow. This is something we could do. This is something that could be our thing. They're just going to get thrown right off of that merry-go-round. But if your belief is lower, you're going to feel them stopping the proverbial merry-go-round, right? So that's another way. And then a third way is that you might find people that, in this day and age, if you're building a home-based business, if you're talking to people about opportunities, more often than not, you're going to run into other people that are, actively building other opportunities of their own. And they're going to persuade you to, look at or join what they're doing, that it's a better opportunity. And kind of how much, as you listen to whatever it is that they're saying, how enticing that feels is kind of an indication of where your level of belief is. So the good news is that if you're feeling any of those things, and I would add maybe the last pillar where you might lose a little bit of belief, or where you might think that belief is that somebody, maybe your own brain, might challenge you that this is not a viable or effective way for you to go out and to create what it is that you want to create, right? And so you start to think to yourself like, wow, maybe one of two stories will show up. Is that either one, you start to think like, hey, maybe it's not possible for me, or another story will be, maybe it's not possible for me in this, right? And that's really common. So now that we've kind of gone over what a couple of those different things might be, let's look at some ways or some concepts, some truths that we know to be true, that you can kind of reinforce some of the beliefs and say, hey, you know what? That might be the way that I'm looking at this. That might be my perspective right now. And usually our perspective is not the way that things are. It's the way that we see things as they are, based on where we are in our own state, in our own finances, in our own mental picture, right? So the first thing is, if you look at the company, right? One thing that's immensely important to understand is that there's not a single company in this industry, in this world of business, probably anywhere on the planet, but in this particular space, that is perfect. There are some that do certain things really, really well. There are others that do other things really, really well. And the companies, unfortunately, that are really, really perfect usually are 20 or 30 years old, and they have a million distributors that are in the business worldwide. And so the opportunity inherently to grow a business with them is different. And so once you give the permission to the company to realize that it doesn't have to be perfect, you can start to believe in it a lot more. Now, a couple of the things that keep my belief high in the businesses that Dan builds, or with AAO specifically, is that, first of all, they're very, very cash rich. So they're businesses that are not founded on leveraging a bunch of corporate debt. So what that means is that if sales are not on a rocket ship trajectory in the beginning or for a season, they will not run into cash flow or operating challenges that ultimately can put other companies out of business. And that's huge. If you're really looking at this to pay you for a year, for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, I can't stress how many companies go out of business and end, even ones that look really, really good, because they get into cash flow crises. So the fact that we have an owner who's cash rich, has been operating without debt for many, many years, and really has handled that end of the business consistently and proven over the last decades that he's handled that end of it, that's a really good starting point. The second piece of the puzzle that I love so much is the simplicity of the model. So the fact that it only takes a couple of customers to become profitable in the business. So I always go back to, hey, is this a product that people need? Yes, absolutely. Is it a price that's fair in the marketplace? Yes, absolutely. And if somebody was to get started with us, how can they get profitable today? And the truth is here is that with just a couple of customers, sharing coupon codes, which is another feature of the business that nobody else is doing. So we have a way for us to discount product for other customers, but still receive full commissions as if we sold that product for full price. I mean, no other opportunity in the industry is doing that. And so that's pretty wonderful. But the path to profitability is simply by introducing 2 or maybe 3 customers, not business builders, to the product and have them purchase from your personalized website. And now that new person that just got started with us is in profit. That's so big. Those 3 building blocks: cash rich company, a customer model with coupon codes that's unlike anything else that's out there, and a very fast path to profitability. That's a huge thing that will never go out of style. That is not a gimmick. That is not something that 2 years from now won't be relevant. And the thing is that you can't really beat it. Like, what company is going to come along and say, hey, with one customer, we're going to pay 100% commissions? That's not going to happen, right? So it's a fun foundational building block that really makes sense. So that's something that keeps belief in both the product, but also the company. And now for product, the fastest way to grow belief in the product is, like Kevin was saying, is to just drink it, just experience it. There's been times where I've thought to myself, like, I don't know if I love that product or if it's my favorite product or whatever, but every single time that I tear it off, pour it in a thing of water, mix it up and drink it, you have that sense of vitality, that sense of well-being. And you know that you're delivering nutrients, over 70 different minerals and nutrients to your body. That's a good thing at a great price, right? So now you have belief in these two pillars, company, product. The next thing is the industry of network marketing. And so that's a really interesting conversation to have. Now, I would ask you this: if you're wondering if this is something that can deliver life-changing results to your world, I would ask yourself this. If you heard somebody say, oh, I know a guy who's a big wig in the NFL, not a player, but he's like a big wig in the NFL. What would you think to yourself as far as how much income somebody like that, a big wig in the NFL, would be earning? Now, the truth is that some of the coaches in the NFL are earning $1 million a month or more in compensation. But think about how big these organizations are, and these staffs, and all of the different coaching staffs, and the athletic coordinating staffs, and the marketing staffs, and all these things. So if somebody said, this guy's a big wig in the NFL, would you, equate that to success? And the answer is probably yes. Now, the reason that I bring this up is that, did you know that if you measure global sales today, the network marketing industry is 3 times bigger than the total gross revenue of the entire NFL annually? So does it stand to reason that if you could become a big wig in this space, even on a small team, that you could do pretty darn well? And when you start to look at the global numbers, they're absolutely staggering. There's numbers such as $200 million. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself, $200 million, that's a lot of money. Companies sell $200 million worth of product. Somebody somewhere made $200 million, something like that. But what if I said that every single day, 365 days a year, this business model pays out over $200 million per day in commissions? Now, when you start thinking about, maybe wanting to buy that RV to drive around the country, or you start thinking about figuring out a way to buy a second home so that you can have a retirement, or you start thinking about how to, just simply pay off some credit card debt, do you think that you could get your hands on a small fraction of $200 million each and every single day? The answer is absolutely, absolutely yes. And so now you've built a little bit more belief in the industry. And I think about this often, as I said, whether you're excited about it or not, whether you're making sales or not, whether you want to do this or not, or whether or not your neighbor thinks that you're a colossal idiot, this business is still paying out $200 million every single day. And the people that are making the money, the people that said yes, the people that took the time to cultivate these businesses, are living lifestyles that are remarkable. It is not uncommon at all for people who have part-time businesses to be earning $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, traveling, having multiple homes, traveling back and forth, homeschooling kids. Like, the thing is that it's so good that you can't advertise it. And even still, those people are living that same life every single day. And so we have to just make the decision to say, hey, you know what? Are they really that different than me? And that brings me to the very last part, which is how to build belief in yourself, right? Ultimately, you can have an opportunity where somebody has stumbled into a gold mine and they cannot get out and they need your help digging. And if you don't have the belief that you can pick the shovel up and that you can go and you can actually lift because you think that you have a bad back, you're not going to be much help, right? And you're not probably going to get any gold nuggets. And so how do you build belief in yourself? And there's a couple ways that you can build belief in yourself, but the simplest way to explain it is to decide on one thing that needs to get done. It can be extremely simple, and start there, and to now over reinforce with yourself and celebrate those small acts that you've done. So can you do a single push-up? Not 10, one. And then can you jump up and down like you just won the lottery, right? And what happens is that if you can learn how to do things like this on a consistent basis, maybe it's once every time an alarm clock goes off every single hour, or maybe it's once every day for 30 days, or maybe it's taking a walk around the block, or maybe it's paying off one credit card that you've been like having pesky that's been around, or something like that. Or when it comes to the business, it's maybe you can share a stick of product with one new person, right? Or maybe you can offer one new person a test strip so that they can test their NO2 and test, not guess, right? Or maybe you can send a link or a video to one new person and say, hey, I don't know if this is something that would be for you, but we're looking to put together a team and I think there's some serious income to be made. And if you start to do that, will you have more belief today? No, you might have less belief because somebody might say that you're an idiot. But if you start to do those things on a consistent daily and weekly basis, it does not take very long before you start to have more belief, because what's going to happen is that somebody is going to purchase some product and you're going to get a commission, or somebody's going to join your team and they're going to tell you that they have a dream that's bigger than yours. You might be looking at this as a $500 a month opportunity, and somebody that you show it to might be looking at it as a path to get out of a job that they hate. And suddenly now they're saying, hey, I want to figure out how to make $5,000 a month, right? What does that do to your belief? Now, what does that do to your belief when that person quits, right? That's a different conversation. But these are the small steps that you start taking on a daily and weekly basis to build the belief in yourself and to start liking the person that you see in the mirror, so that you realize that, look, everybody that's come before us, everybody that has had above average results, the reason is because they simply took average people that did average work and did it in a model that can produce above average results. And then when we realize that it's not because they're extraordinary, it's because the vehicle goes faster than other things that we're used to. All we have to do is show up. All we have to do is do the basics. All we have to do is keep putting one foot in front of the other. And the great thing that happens is that maybe what your plan is today to make results tomorrow isn't enough, or it's not good enough. But guess what? The guy or the girl in the mirror 30 days from now or 60 days from now that's done those simple things daily, every day, will be able to improvise and adapt and overcome, because that's how growth is induced. The same thing as if you go to the gym and you push up weights, eventually your muscles will adapt and you will gain strength. And so those are all of the ways that I can think of today to start to elevate your belief, so that you can turn this business and this path into your best path yet. So that's everything I got. And Kevin, if you want to wrap up.
Thank you so much for today. It really is all about belief. You could send this video to someone and their belief would go up just from that. The non-negotiables that the company's been working on has a pathway to all of those things too, as an option. If that's something you're into, it's called 5 and 8. And it's like got a workbook, and the bigger packages have that on there. And you can go through their program to kind of figure out what are some non-negotiable commitments you'd make with yourself in that capacity. I always look at it like those video games with the hero and you're leveling them up. And I have these different areas, and product is one of them. And that was important for me to want to pursue the brand. Product belief had to be super high. So I went to where it was made. I asked the people more questions than everybody else. I asked the best people I knew in nutrition and health and science, and then they grilled me with questions. So I would go to them with questions, and I would do all my research ahead of time. I'd do the good and the bad. I'd look at both sides. I did all that before I ever shared it with a person. How do I convey my level of belief with a person that has never seen what I've seen, never been where I've been, observed what I've observed? All I can do is tell them, but that's like sending a haircut in the mail. You can't really do that. So belief is everything. I challenge you today to go and down the pathway of whichever of those 4 that your belief is the lowest, and raise your belief. We have a call about your dream, falling in love with your dream, another one about becoming immovable. There's all these different calls on here that could help. And there's all this stuff on YouTube that's free out there. There's shorts, reels, TikToks. Follow the right content, so that's feeding you in something you're doing every day. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a good day. And if you like this, share it with somebody. Thank you. It's much different on a phone.